Hello, welcome to SIM 306. In this particular class, we're going to be talking about the annotation capability that SimpleIndex has. Before I get into the actual use of annotations in SimpleIndex, I do want to cover something that's in the global settings wizard. You would have seen this panel the very first time you ever launched SimpleIndex. It walks you through some basic setup as to where you want your default job folders and default data and that sort of thing. And one of the options is the security settings, but also in that panel, there's a little option down here about imprinting and redactions and that sort of thing, and it asks you how you want to handle those. So annotations are basically a layer that gets saved with the file, and you have the choice of whether you want those annotations to be a permanent part of the document or just something that can be turned on and off by the user when they're viewing this later after the fact. So we have the first option there, never make annotations permanent. We have two options that deal with only using them whenever you're printing or emailing the document. And then we have this final option that says always make the annotations permanent. So if we did that one, let's say you're redacting something, you're trying to hide a social security number that appears on a particular document. When we choose the always make annotations permanent, when I save out that file at the end of the SimpleIndex process, anybody who looks at that output file will not be able to turn off the annotation. That black box that I've added to the page is there forever. So we've seen that. I'm just going to cancel out here and go back into SimpleIndex. I've loaded the job read invoices with Zone OCR. You've probably seen this one before. So we're just going to run this one, let it load in some pages real quick, and get a little Zone OCR action going on here that's pulling in some account and order numbers. And there we go. So once we get the page up, this is your annotation bar up here. All these different tools are for annotations. And as we talked about in our mouse action video, annotation radio button gets selected to let you know we're doing annotations. So the first one is just the select tool. I don't have any annotations active right now, so the select tool really isn't going to do much for me. Let's go over here and try this one. This is our free drawing tool. So if I wanted to kind of circle my salesperson on this document, I can go in here and circle John. And so it's made a little line around it. I can also right click while I've got this going here. If I right click on the perimeter of it, and I'll get these three options here. I can delete, so I can get rid of that annotation that I just made. I can hide annotations, and that hides all the ones on the page. Or we can go into properties, and properties lets you set any value that you want to. So let's say I wanted to make that a blue line, and I want to make it a big 10 pixel line right here so it's really visible. So when I hit OK, there we go. I've now made it a fat blue line that can easily be seen. The second option is a highlight tool. So let's say we want to highlight the account information up here. There we go. And again, you've got properties in here. If I prefer kind of a pale blue highlighting, and it is transparent, that's what makes it highlighting. I can hit OK there. Now we've changed it to blue. We have a straight line tool. Works the same way as the others. You just click at one corner, click where you want it to end, and you've made a line. Again, we could go in and set some properties on this if we chose to. There's a box tool. And the box is just an outline. If you want to just put a box around some information to call attention to it, that's what it does there. The next icon over, very similar, but is actually a little bit different. We can, this is a solid box. So if I wanted to redact this barcode up here, I want to make sure that no one can see it. I can put that right there. And let's go ahead and make it black just to really point out the fact that we've redacted something here. So now it's looking like something out of the Nixon administration. Next tool over is just a text tool. Very straightforward. Drag the box where you want it to be, and it'll give you just a cursor prompt, and you can say, this is some text. And there we go. Click outside. And I can come back to these things too. So if I realize that I needed to actually put something else in that note, I can use my select tool, double click in it, and add some more text. And we're done there. So that's all there is to it. The next one over, you notice it's very similar, but it's got the little chain graphic underneath. This is adding a link. So I can go in here. Let's put it over in this zone. Just set where I want it to be. And it's going to give you some options link to a file. So if we had another document somewhere that we wanted the user to be able to open from inside this document, link them out to another PDF, you could do that. So that would be where link to a file, or you can link to a URL. I happen to have our website already set in here, and so you can choose it from the drop down. You also have some options right here. If you were linking to a multi-page TIFF document, for example, you could tell it to open on page 4 or something like that. That's what the named location and file zone tells us. So when I hit OK, it's going to take me back to it, and I can still add some text here. So let's call it jump to simple index. Now you notice that's underlined in blue to indicate that it's a web link. If I were to click on that, that would throw open the browser, and it tells me in the hover text that we're going to www.simpleindex.com. Next one over, the good old sticky note. We all know that one, right? You can leave a sticky note. Anywhere on the page. And again, we can always come back into them with our select tool. I can double click in here and it takes me right back into it. It's active again. I can add more text to it. Also, if I click anywhere on the page, just in general, we do have the hide annotations option. So that's what it would look like to somebody who's viewing this later. If we did not make our annotations permanent, they would be able to turn those on and off. Let's go back and bring them back on. So the next icon here lets us add a text file. So you can prepare a little text file ahead of time, and if you have some information that you need to consistently apply to a page or something like that, so click wherever you want it to be, and that opens up a little dialog that asks you to choose a text file. I've got one here just called boilerplate. We'll open that one, and it automatically inserts it. So rather than having to type text over and over again into a text field, like the one we did earlier, this allows us to just have some predefined text that we can insert pretty quickly. And our last tool here is the rubber stamp tool. As soon as you click it, it's going to open up the properties here. Let you choose some predefined ones, or you can go in and make another one. Let's say we wanted to make one that was just text-based. So I'm going to call this one paid, and we want our stamp text to be the actual expression paid. And we can put a little date stamp on here for the date it was done. That just adds a tag that will automatically insert the date when we do it. We can also choose a font for how we want it to appear. So let's say we want it to be, let's just scroll down here and pick something. Oh, elephant looks nice, and we'll make it really big so we know clearly that this has been paid. So we hit OK, and OK again. There it is. We've got it chosen in a list. Hit OK, and then you just place it on the page wherever you want to. So there it is with the date stamp on it. And we're good to go. Also in our rubber stamp tool, you notice there was some image options. So we can create image here. And so in that case, you can go in and find a file that is an image. So we browse for it. And that brings up our little browse dialog here. And for instance, I've got a file here that's just a signature file. Something that I captured previously and just created a signature as a JPEG file in this case. So hit OK, and again, just go stamp it wherever you want. And you can always move things around as long as they're selected. So there you have it. That's really all there is to the annotations bar. You can apply these anywhere on the page. Remember that they can be hidden, turned on and off unless you've chosen to make them permanent. So if I hit Save Index here, it'll tell me that I have modified the file. Do I want to save my changes? And yes, I do. So now it goes to the next page in my my index job. If I come back to it, there's all my annotations. So everything is preserved. And if I did have the option set to make these permanent, when I saved out the final documents at the end of this indexing job, everything we see on here would be saved in the document and be permanent. It couldn't be something that the user could turn on and off. So my redaction, for example, would be a permanent part of the file. So that's really all there is to it for annotations. If you have any questions about it, as always, contact us on the support line, and thanks for watching.